If you're tired of the jaw-dropping home prices and the ever-increasing cost of living in Ontario and BC, you might be considering a move to Edmonton. Today, we're going to dive into Edmonton's cost of living so that you can learn if Edmonton might be a good fit for you. My name's Evan. I'm a real estate agent here in the Edmonton area, and if you have any questions at all, my contact information is going to be in the description below. Please feel free to reach out. Now let's get into it. We're going to break this video up into 5 parts: housing, taxes, utilities, food and entertainment, and transportation. First up, we got housing. Now, depending on the lifestyle that you have and the type of home you desire, the housing price level is going to be different for each category. We're going to look here at the benchmark prices for the different housing categories. The reason we look at benchmark prices and not average prices is because the average price can be misleading if there's an abnormal amount of expensive homes sold in a month, or the other way around, and there's an abnormal amount of cheap homes sold in a month. It can artificially alter that average number. The benchmark price is going to give you an idea of what it would cost to get an average home with standard features. Obviously, Edmonton's much more affordable than Toronto and Vancouver, but one thing I want you to look at is just how different Calgary and Edmonton have become. Funny thing is, only 2 years ago, this wasn't really the case. Over the last 2 years, Calgary has seen a huge explosion in their home market because there's so many people moving to Alberta from different provinces, and it seems like most of them are going to Calgary right now. Edmonton has not seen that same price hike yet, but once people start to realize Calgary's becoming unaffordable, they might be going to Edmonton now. And we're thinking that Edmonton could see the same similar spike in the next couple of years. So if you like the prices you're seeing under the Edmonton column, consider acting on them quickly, because over the next few years, they may not be where they're at now. I want to quickly mention that these are current numbers. This data came out for November 2023. And if you're watching this video and you're far away from that date, I'm going to put a link in the description below to the home price index. This is where you can find all the benchmark prices. It'll also show you the trends on a nice graph so you can take a look at the trajectory of prices as well. If you prefer to rent, or maybe you're not quite ready to buy a property, I'm going to put the average rents for a 2-bedroom on the screen here too. Lots of people talk about average rents for a 1-bedroom, but if you're moving across the country for affordability, chances are you have a family and you're going to need more than 1 bedroom. From the looks of it, it's going to be pretty tough to afford 2 bedrooms in Vancouver, where it's $3,800 a month for a 2-bedroom rental. Toronto $3,230, Calgary at $2,105, and then Edmonton at just $1,509. So even if you're a renter, Edmonton is still quite affordable for you as well. Number 2, everyone's favorite and the one of 2 guarantees in life: taxes. Alberta actually has the lowest sales tax of any province in Canada. There's no provincial sales tax. It's just the 5% GST. And the only other places in Canada where you'll see this are the very cold, but I hear beautiful Northern Territories of Nunavut, Northwest Territories, and the Yukon. The total sales tax in BC is 12%, and in Ontario it's 13%. So Alberta actually has less than half the sales tax as the 2 provinces we're talking about today. And I want to quickly mention that GST only applies on a brand new home purchase. If you're purchasing a resale home and it's not brand new, there's not going to be any taxes involved with the transaction whatsoever. If you're watching from another province, you've probably heard of land transfer tax. And great news, Alberta doesn't have that either. In Alberta, we have a title transfer fee, which is super low. It's only $50 and then $1 for every $5,000 of the purchase price. So if you're buying a $500,000 home in Alberta, your total land transfer tax is $150. Compared to BC, which you'll see is $8,000 for a $500,000 home, and Ontario, which is $64.75 for the same house, you're definitely noticing a difference there. Property taxes. Edmonton's property tax rate is about 0.94% of the assessed value of your home. There are some suburban cities near Edmonton where it's a little bit higher, like St. Albert, where it's 1.1, or Sherwood Park is quite a bit lower at 0.7. Looking at the table here, Calgary is only 0.65, so there are lower property taxes in Calgary, and in Toronto 0.67, Vancouver 0.27. Now, looking at this table, you might think, well, Edmonton has the highest property taxes out of all the cities mentioned, but property tax rate is on the assessed value of the property. So if the property values are higher, that means that they don't need to tax you at the same rate to make the same income. The city is is still making quite a bit of money on property taxes in those cities too. Income taxes. Now, I'm no accountant and I don't pretend to know much about income taxes, but what I have done is I've looked up the tax rates that are posted online and I've put together just a rough number of how much income tax you're going to be paying by making $50,000, $100,000, and $300,000 a year. I'll put that table here on the screen somewhere. The conclusion that I draw from this is that the cheapest places for income tax, if you're making $100,000 or less, is going to be British Columbia and Ontario, and the higher income tax brackets are going to be better off in Alberta and Ontario. Number 3, we've got utilities, which is going to be water, electricity, and heat. If you buy an apartment condo, sometimes your heat and water can be included in the condo fees, so be sure to look into that a little bit. Obviously, the cost for utilities is going to be drastically different for people depending on their usage, their size of their house, and stuff like that. Whether or not you leave the TV on all day, whether you like a warm house, or you take long showers where you're singing the whole time and using a bunch of water. I personally live in a detached single family 2-story house, and my gas bill last month was $170 for the month of November. My electricity bill was $110 and my water and garbage pickup was $120. So total of about $400 per month for my utilities. Now, I live in a bit of an older home. My house was built in 99, so my windows are only double pane. Back then, the insulation standards were not as good. So if you're moving into a more efficient house that's well insulated, then you probably will have a lower utility bill there. Number 4, food and entertainment. If you're going out to a mid-level restaurant as a couple and you want to get 2 drinks, an appetizer, and 2 mains, at the end of the day with tip, you're probably going to be looking at about $100. Entertainment-wise, Oiler games are super fun, even if you're not a big hockey fan. During the regular season, if you get upper bowl seats, you can usually find them under $100 per ticket. If the Oilers are playing the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Calgary Flames, you're going to see a little bit of a higher price because those games are a little bit more sought after. The Edmonton versus Calgary is called the Battle of Alberta. It can get pretty rowdy and it's a lot of fun. There are various cool little events that happen in Edmonton over the course of the year. Obviously, ticket prices for each of those is going to be a lot different. Right now, there's a winter market happening at the Fort Edmonton Park. I just went there with my girlfriend last weekend. It was $20 to get in. They got nice Christmas lights, a little train car ride, and cool little market vendors everywhere. It was a cute little time. Number 5, we've got transportation. So city transit is fairly cheap. Standard ticket on the transit system is going to be about $3.50. And if you're planning to use it a lot, then you can get a $100 monthly pass that'll get you anywhere in the city, public transit wise. Most people in Alberta do own a car themselves. It's kind of set up a little bit more tailored towards people having their own personal transportation. Nice thing is Alberta doesn't charge a tax on a used car sale that's made privately. So if you buy a car that isn't from a dealership and it's a used car, you don't have to pay any taxes on that whatsoever. Gas prices in Alberta are usually some of the lowest in the country because we have such a big oil and gas sector here. And I think the provincial taxes have something to do with that. But right now, Edmonton as of today is sitting at 110 cents a liter. In Toronto, it's at 134, and in Vancouver, it's 169. So that pretty much sums it up, guys. If you have any questions at all, please put them in the comment section below, or feel free to contact me. Like I said, contact information's in the description. Until next time, cheers.